In football lingo, you'd call it a reverse, because that sums up Robert Scholar's attitude towards the sport he once loved.
It was almost a decade before I actually came back and went to a game.
It was about a decade ago that his son Kyle was getting ready to go off to war.
The night before, he's in his bedroom packing up all of his belongings to go, and I'm watching a football game.
A few months later, Kyle was killed in Iraq after a roadside bomb detonated near his Humvee.
Lord Jesus, these folks are burdened with a grief that will not cease.
That eulogy was spot on, because that grief came with a dose of guilt that wouldn't go away.
So it was hard knowing that I'd kind of blew the last night that I had to spend with him watching a football game.
When he finally did start going to games again, it was probably a little strange. But he couldn't have imagined how strange things would get when he simply tried to find something to drink.
We were getting ready to enter the stadium, and we were looking for bottled water.
He found a tailgate with a nice lady who was raising money for the Student Veterans Association. And when he told her about his son,
she just said, "Will you hold on a minute? I've got somebody I want you to meet, my husband."
My wife's yelling at me, "Get over here, I have someone for you to meet."
Gabe Savegny had never met Robert, but he knew who he was instantly.
They had the same eyes, so I could definitely tell first off, I knew exactly who it was.
The last time he had seen those eyes was serving with Kyle in Iraq.
He was always happy to, always lifting people up, and his picture is hanging on my wall still in my living room, and my kids will know who he was.
What are the odds that they'd meet in a sea of 82,000 people? What are the odds that he'd have a dog tag tattoo on his arm with Kyle's name in it to honor him? What are the odds that Gabe and Robert would both be suffering from the same thing?
That's where my guilt comes in. Is the morning of it, I was supposed to be in the middle convoy, or the middle vehicle.
Kyle was normally in the lead vehicle, but on that day, Gabe and Kyle had switched, and Kyle was where Gabe would have normally been sitting when that bomb went off.
Because that could have been me. And I don't live with that guilt anymore that it should have been. I am thankful for the opportunity that I have.
From Robert's end, his guilt has gotten better too.
It's been 10 years.
A feat of healing that you can't help but think Kyle had something to do with.
The last couple of days, I kind of felt like, hearing Gabe's story and kind of some of the guilt that he had and some of the guilt that I had, that maybe Kyle had brought us together. I don't know,
In football lingo, you'd call that a Hail Mary. Burt Mumolo, Tulsa's Channel 8.